one shot sauce. The one shot is just like an audio sample that looks like this. It could be a melodic one shot. In this case, it's a vocal. When I say one shots, I'm not even like really talking drums. Technically, those are one shots. I'm talking like melodic one shots or vocal one shots. For instance, like this. That's what I would call a one shot. Let's say I want to make like a chord out of it. When you're making a chord out of a one shot, what happens if you don't touch any settings, it changes all the length of every note. So it's playing, not only is it changing the pitch of every note in there, it's also changing the speed. The higher up it is, the faster it is. The lower on the keys it is, the slower it is. So if you want to make sure all those are hitting the same length, you would just turn it on stretch mode. So you turn that on stretch mode. You could turn this time knob all the way down too. So now every note that you hit, they're all the same length no matter what pitch you're at. So that's something good to do. If you wanted to have that like stab feel and not have them tail out, you would change the volume envelope settings to box. I'm sure we all know this like classic box setting. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Just turn everything down except for hold. The hold goes all the way up. And now you can get that like stab sound out of it. So just remember, like in the piano roll, if you want it to tail out, you'd have to stretch those notes out. Same thing, like I used to do that with 808s way back until, I don't know when, but I just started using the cutoff tab instead, because it gets kind of annoying when you're using an 808 in the piano roll and every note gets cut. So, and then now you can have them essentially any length in the piano roll and they'll just play out fully. But when it comes to melodic one shots, I think, you know, making that box is something, if you want that like stab sound, if you're going to be playing them and when you release the keys, if you want that to stop, I think that's a cool feature to add in there. But definitely stretch mode, I think, is like my go-to every single time with a one shot. Also with one shots, you're going to want to make sure that they're tuned. You can go by ear, but if you want to be a little bit more organized with it, make sure that they're tuned. And this goes for anything, 808s and anything essentially. But let's say we don't know what key it's in. Do you still use the Edison method if you want to tune stuff? Me too. Some people use Newtone, but I don't know. And then they like make it a C inside of Newtone, but then I think it changes the properties of the sample. So this one,
just do the pitch detection on Edison.
Me too. Me too. Yeah. Newtone will change the sound of it, and then they like export it. I'm like, yo, why you?
I wouldn't do all that.
Yeah, unless you want it to have a different sound.
Yeah, personally, I just I would just read it as
so
it is.
Open up Edison, click the little flag, and then you detect pitch regions, and then I just go by whatever the majority of it is.
When you're in Edison, can you do something with Control E that's like to read the pitch or something?
No, Control E, like if you're just looking at the sampler, Control E will just open up Edison for that sample.
Oh, okay. What about if you're in Edison, press Control E?
Let me see. Control E, nothing.
Oh, all right. Why did I?
Control N, I think, is normalize. In this case, we're just detecting the pitch. I just go by whatever is taking up the majority. And then if there are two notes, like right now, it's giving me two notes.
Yeah.
It's either F sharp or E.
Yeah.
The end tail is saying E, but I don't think that's E because in this particular sample, you can hear the vibrato at the end of it. So that's probably where it's like, it's thinking that it's E, that flutter at the end. So it's thinking that it's E. Most likely it's F sharp. That's like the first step in tuning. Now the second step is going into the little wrench and then right clicking above F sharp. And now you're good to go. So now when you put a C in the piano roll or you play a C, it's an actual C and so on and so on.
Yeah.
If you want the cut itself thing, that's good too. But then if you want to create chords with one shots, the cut itself thing was going to throw that whole thing off. So if you want to create chords with the one shots, don't use cut itself. That's one thing I will say.
I know we're talking about melodic one shots, but one thing I'll do with one shots that are, say, like drums, sometimes a pack will come in and it has like a little bit of like dead space before the hit.
Yeah.
If you want to show the trim.
I'll see if I can find one that has that, but
that'll basically just tighten up your hit so that if you have a snare, it's not like lagging behind.
All right, so let's say we have this kick. You're talking about the trim knob?
Yeah, the trim knob.
The trim knob. It might not do it for this one, but yeah, he's talking about this trim knob right here. So I have a kick sample pulled up. There is a little bit of a dead space right there at the beginning of that, and it's not going to pick it up because it is. Oh no, it's getting rid of a little bit at the end. So it'll find any zeroed out dead space, and it'll trim it off the beginning or the end. So
that's perfect for like if you get a situation where like there's dead space at the beginning of your sample and you just trim it out, now everything's going to be on that grid or like on wherever you have it.
It's perfect. That knob wasn't always there.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if I feel like it's kind of a newish. I mean, newish in my eyes because I've been using it for so long is like 5 to 10 years. That's still kind of new to me. You know what I'm saying? But some people just come into FL and that's there already.
Yeah.
The one knob I know was not there for sure. Like here's another one shot little gem is this sample start.
Yeah.
You can have have it shift through the sample. This, in my eyes, is almost like the slip tool in the playlist. You ever mess with the slip tool?
Oh, hell yeah.
So you can like slip through a whole sample loop or whatever. This is almost that same idea, but just with the one shot. So if you wanted it to start from a different transient, essentially you just pull that sample start knob up, and you can choose a different part of the sample to start it on. Boom. You can choose any piece. You want to get real wacky with it, you can just choose any little snippet of the sample. If you don't like the beginning, it's really cool for 808s too. Sometimes that maybe have that kick at the beginning. You don't want the kick. You want it to just start at the sound of the actual 808. You can trim off the kick.
I'll mess around with the in and out as well. So like if you want to just like resample something and then stretch that, that's mad fun.
Yeah, just like the fade in and out.
Some beats I'll just only mess around in the sample.
Me too.
And just make whole joints off the sampler. It's fun.
Bro, you could do everything in the sampler. I mean, I'm not even scratching the surface here. Like once you start getting into the envelopes, the panning, the mod X, mod Y, the pitch, the LFOs. Bro, it's like you don't have to open up a plugin. Another one-shot trick, this will be specific for maybe some hi-hats that I use this on, right? Let's say we got, you know, a closed hi-hat and you want that weird kind of offbeat vibe without going to the piano roll. Now this does it, this blankets it across like the whole, whatever you play with it, right? So if you wanted some specific stuff, you'd go into the piano roll. But what I like to do is I'll go into the wrench tool on a hi-hat, and let's say I'll go every 2 steps on this, and then I'll play the metronome, and you can hear that there's like no difference. You know, sounds like the same thing because I think the metronome is a hi-hat right now. Yeah, let me change it to a tick. Perfectly right on the grid. Now what I like to do is like say I want that 2-step, but I want it to be like shifted over. Instead of going into the piano roll and highlighting all the notes and shifting them over, you just go into the sampler, go to the wrench tool, and then go to the time section. There's a little time section, and turn the shift up. Turn the shift up, and depending on how far you go up on that, it's gonna shift it off, no matter what pattern you play it on. So it doesn't go just with that one pattern. If you were to do it in piano roll, any pattern you use it on, it's gonna do it. So now
that's the shit.
If you can hear the difference, I'll go drastic with it so you can hear like a real difference. Hear how that just like automatically adds like a flam effect, almost like and you know, just to go really drastic with it. You hear how crazy you can get with it. That's all the way up. So I like to go, the most I'll probably go is like 12 o'clock, but anywhere between like 9 and 12 is dope. And I just used it on a beat recently too, just to add that little bit of flavor, that looseness in the drums that you might not get with everything just being on the grid and you maybe not playing the drums out. Like I feel like, you know, the majority of us are not playing drums out or playing on a pad. Some people are, but you want to get that effect of that real like kind of humanistic feel. Try the shift knob out.
What did we talk about, the like the fine pitch?
No, we didn't talk about
messing
the fine
around
pitch.
with like the sensitivity of that.
I like, all right, yeah, so that's something. Number one, I'll touch on the fine pitch. The fine pitch is always on you talking about like the up in the top?
Yeah, up in the
where
top,
it says
right.
it says 2 by default.
Yeah, yep.
So that's like where they were thinking of that essentially is like, you know, like a pitch wheel on a keyboard.
Yeah.
So you can like automate that pitch knob right there. If you turn this knob all the way up or all the way down, it'll only go up or down by 2 semitones. Anywhere in between, it's just bending in between 0 and 2 semitones. So think of that like as a pitch wheel if you were to automate that. The way I like to use it sometimes, I mean, we'll just use the hi-hat for example. It doesn't have to be anything special. Let's say I want to turn this hi-hat down a full octave, right? By default, like I want the initial sample to be down an octave. I don't like where it is. I want it to go lower than that. And instead of going into like the piano roll again or going into the wrench tool and changing the root note, what you can do is you can change this little window to 12. So essentially we can go down another full octave, change it to 12, or you can change it to 24. So in increments of 12s, because every octave is 12 semitones, if that's a little bit of music theory for you. But
that's
like
digital music theory.
Yeah. Learned it from FL.
Yeah.
And then you can turn this pitch wheel. Now you do have to turn it and make sure that the sample is on stretch mode though to do it, or else it won't even affect it at all. So you turn that on stretch mode and then you make this little window 12 and then you can turn that down all the way. Make sure it's all the way. Because if it is a melodic sample and it's not down all the way, it'll be down 11 semitones and then you'll be out of key.
Yeah.
So now you're down 2 full octaves. That's it.
Yeah.
How do you utilize that window? That little pitch
for
wheel?
Different stuff. I mean, some of it I'll use just to make stuff fit in relative pitch with other stuff.
You talked about that before.
Yeah,
like if you're
like,
sampling something and it's slightly detuned.
Yeah, like if I sample something that comes in sped up and it's just, I like where it's sitting, but it's like somewhere in between the keys, so to speak, then I'll just go into my VST plugin that I'm using for like a melodic accompaniment and I'll use that fine pitch, usually on the 2, like the 2 increment.
Just leave it on the
that
2.
Is usually
Yeah.
enough to just kind of get to the nearest whatever.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is like I'll go around the keyboard and listen for when it sounds like the root note, like the lowest note is closest to like sitting in that pocket. And the way I'll kind of work around that is like if it hits at the 1 in that like little thing and you know at a lower pitch it sounds good, but it's slightly out, I'll just use that fine tune tool to sit perfectly at the 1.
That's great for that stuff too.
Yeah, and then you can, you know, you can do it as a stylistic, creative tool as well.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're just having fun with it and like manipulating it into something totally new.
Yep. For everybody to keep in mind that is different than this time stretching pitch knob.
Yeah.
That's almost like an algorithmic thing.
Yeah.
And you can't automate that. You can't do much with that besides because you'll see too when you turn that on a sample that's long enough, FL Studio's like thinking in the background for a second sometimes.
The fine tune doesn't affect timing at all, right?
No.
Yeah. So, but the time stretch thing is another way that you can affect the pitch and the timing. And then if you want to sit back,
let me touch on that. It will affect timing unless you turn it on stretch mode. So if you don't turn that sample or whatever that is on stretch mode, and let's say you automate that pitch wheel in the playlist, you'll see the sample stretching and contorting.
I'm thinking for VSTs, but on the one shots,
exactly for one shots, it will stretch them unless you turn that on stretch mode.